welcome back to Just Code It. Today we're wrapping up LangGraph graphs and moving on to LangGraph agents. And to kind of celebrate that and go through everything we've learned, we're going to create a simple chatbot app that allows you to chat in your terminal. And it allows you to quit from the chatbot app in the terminal using buy and things like that. Let's stop talking about it and just get going. The first thing we're going to do is our imports, like always, and create our initial state. This one is a list of dictionaries. Next, we have current response, which is of type string, and then verbose mode is also a Boolean that we're tracking. This is just from rich output. We're going to make the terminal look a little bit pretty, create this console, and log to the console instead of using print. The first method is a pretty simple one. It's just going to be, that might be too close, just to create LLM. This gives us back the LLM. You could add in model up here and pass it down here. That will actually allow us to pass in the model, but I actually kind of want to use Quinn, super small Quinn. I think it's 0.6. After you make that change, giving it the ability to pass in different models, we're also going to come down here and just define the API base, which is localhost for me, temperature, and max tokens. You keep it small and short. We don't want it to ramble. After that, we also are going to be defining this console print instead of prints. Remember, we just do console print, and then define it as bold green. Once we run that, let's create an LLM real quick. Next, we have state management functionality. What we're doing here is setting all the initial state values. Up here, we created the structure of the states, essentially just the types. And here we're setting the initial values. Moving on to our first real method is this process user input. What it does is it takes in the state, like always, because it's a node, and gets the user input. Here we're prompting the user inside of that rich package, but we're going to ask them in bold, just essentially the tag U. Then we'll check if exit codes have been entered. If exit, quit, or buy is entered, exit requested is set to true, and we return. Actually make these slash. We have user input. We're going to lowercase it and see if it's set equal to verbose. If it is, then we're going to toggle that verbose state, print to the console in bold yellow, verbose mode enabled or disabled. Finally, returning the state. If it gets through all of that, it adds the user message to the conversation history, where we have the structure of role is user, content is the user input. That's the message structure for that JSON. And return the state. Finally, we do the accept and then keyboard interrupt. After processing the user input, we're going to move on to generating the AI response. How we do this is create a method called generate AI response, given a state and an LLM of type chat light LLM. Then we're just going to do a bunch of checks to make sure that the AI exits. It will exit, all that fun stuff. Make sure there's a message, and double check that the last command actually processed. These are essentially end variables. We also want to check to make sure the user was the last response. We're just going to check the last message to ensure it was from the user. After that, we'll print to the console, grab the response from the AI model, passing the user's message. Once we grab the response, we're going to grab the content and reset the state variables, message, create a new object. Current message is going to be the AI message. You can probably start seeing how this is going. After generating the AI response, we move to the flow controller, a decision maker, where we do the should continue, where it's going to check to see if they've hit any of the end words. Check that state variable, check the state. If it processed, make sure it didn't fail. If it does, it says continue, and then continue by default. These two will continue on. This one will end. You can see that here. Continue looping back on itself, continue going in, then end going to the actual end state. Now we have the decide after user input decision. Well, at least that's what I'm calling it. What this does is it checks the status. process an AI response, and either returns continue, so loop back on itself, end, which is this long one that goes all the way around, or AI response, which goes to the AI response right here. That's this above decision tree. This is the logic for that, but we'll have to define it in the graph. Remember, these returns are mapped to nodes. That is it though for all of our methods. Now we're going to start creating the main function, which is going to hold the graph structure, the LLM, and essentially the user interface that we're going to interact with. The first thing we're going to do is just define the LLM and the nodes. How we define the LLM is just using that method we created earlier, create LLM. We're not going to give it any model because I am not in the mood, but that gives us the LLM back. And then we define the graph, which is the state graph, giving it our initial state, then defined our nodes, which are the initialize, user input, and AI response. We have one easy edge here that we can do, which is just the initial edge, this initial to user input, no decision made. Our first conditional edge is here. This is the one at user input. We're dealing with the top one, and we're using the method decide after user input as our decision maker. This takes the state and looks to see if the user input those exit signals, make sure it processed, it didn't error out, and also it just by default returns AI response. We have to map those. We have the AI response, continue input, and then end map to their specific states, which are the AI response, user input, and end. Our next conditional edge is the AI response edge. This is the one down here. It is AI response. It's either going to go to the end or back up to the user input. We can map that user input and end. Those are correct. We're using this method to decide what we do. I guess we could have probably shortened this up, but I guess you could probably get rid of this redundant if statement or else if. Nevertheless, we either return end or continue input. Moving on, we only have a few things left on the graph. One of the last things we have to do is set that entry point. The entry point is the initial, and then we can do app equals graph dot compile to compile the graph. And like always, we're just going to have it create some charts for us. You don't have to do this though. The app will work just fine without that. And then invoke the app. This is essentially starting the app, starting the graph. And we're just going to invoke with an empty dictionary. To start this app and actually run it, do it if name equals main and jump into our main function. This is going to be our entry point right here. And it will start running the graph and invoke it right here. And that was when we're able to interact with it. Enough talk. Let's just get down to actually running this thing. Let's make the user interface for it a bit bigger. It will just run in your terminal. Here we're running. We have the nicely formatted stuff. It does look like it's doing one node twice though. What is going on with that? Oh, okay. I'm an idiot. You have that up there. So it's creating the LLM twice, but we can get rid of that. All right, now it's creating the LLM once. We have our exit, quit, buy. Let's just test those. And now that we're done, let's start running this thing and see if it works. Give it a run. Okay, at least start it up. We have that nice font. Let's try exit to begin. Oh wait, let's try that again because we did change it to not exit, just /exit. But I also should have just started chatting if, okay, it did finish process there. So there might be something wrong with our LLM. Hi. Okay, so there is something wrong with our LLM. Let's take a look. We have our model. Oh, there it is. We need to do / rerun. We get that. Let's say hi again. Thinking hi. Cool. That worked. Let's go verbose, and then hi. Cool. Looks like it's all working. Then let's do bye. Awesome. It actually works. So now you have a little chatbot that you can chat with in your terminal. I think going forward, I might actually expand on this project and make it so you can attach files. If you have like a directory, you could point to the directory and it would essentially vector database the whole directory or the files that you tag to do it for. And then you can add that to your chat as context. Let me know what you think I should do with that. I'm open to suggestions on how we carry this project forward, or we can do different projects as we go into the agent part of this tutorial series. If you have any questions, just leave comments down below and I'll be happy to help if I can. I hope you enjoyed today's video and I'll see you next time.